Insider trading. Look, imagine having a crystal ball that shows you the future of the stock market. Sounds like a trader's dream, right? Now, what if I told you some people might not need a crystal ball because they have something even more powerful? Access to non-public, influential information. We're talking about none other than Nancy Pelosi, the former Speaker of the House, whose financial transactions alongside her husband have sparked fierce debates and raised eyebrows across the nation. How did their wealth skyrocket through stock trades and companies directly affected by the decision? Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, DK, with her ascent up the political ladder, has not only climbed the ranks of power, but has also seen her personal fortune swell dramatically. According to the transparency-focused non-profit group Open Secrets, Pelosi's wealth has skyrocketed from $41 million in 2004 to nearly $115 million as of the latest financial disclosures in 2019. This substantial increase in wealth places her as the sixth richest member of Congress in an institution where over half of the members are millionaires, a testament to the immense wealth that permeates the corridors of Capitol Hill. As Pelosi gained prominence and power, so did her financial portfolio, especially alongside her husband Paul. The couple's fortune has notably increased through what could be seen as astoundingly timely and lucrative investments in stocks and options. These aren't just any investments. They are predominantly in sectors where Pelosi, wielding significant influence as the Speaker of the House, could directly affect legislative outcomes. A striking example of the Pelosi's financial maneuvers is their heavy involvement in the Silicon Valley tech industry. Over the last 2 years, a whopping 75% of their stock transactions, which amount to more than $33 million, have been in big tech. This flurry of trading comes at a time when significant legislation that could reshape the industry is on the table. Legislation over which Pelosi has considerable control due to her leadership position and her oversight of the committees that manage these bills. The potential conflict of interest reaches a peak with the company Apple. A staggering 17.7% of the Pelosi's trading activities involve buying and selling Apple stock. During this period, Pelosi engaged in private discussions with Apple's CEO Tim Cook. Topics included the state of Apple and the potential impacts of various bills aimed at reforming the tech sector, which was under consideration in the House. These private dialogues coincided with a critical moment reported by the New York Times on June 22. The tech industry launched a robust lobbying effort against proposed antitrust reforms. Industry executives, lobbyists, and numerous advocacy groups funded by tech giants inundated Capitol offices with visits, calls, emails, and letters. They argued that the legislative proposals would have severe repercussions for the sector and the nation. Amid this intensive lobbying, a notably direct action was a personal phone call from Apple's CEO to Pelosi. In the shadowy corridors of power where public service and personal gain often intersect, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi finds herself at the center of a growing controversy. According to sources who spoke to the Times under the condition of anonymity, Pelosi had personal, private conversations with Apple CEO Tim Cook amidst legislative turmoil that could reshape the future of Silicon Valley. These discussions are particularly alarming given that Pelosi and her husband Paul have amassed millions by trading stocks in the very companies that stand to be impacted by the proposed bills. As Pelosi's financial engagements come under scrutiny, one can't help but question the ethical implications of such interactions. The couple's portfolio over the last 2 years notably includes heavy investments in the top 5 tech giants: Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Microsoft. These are the same corporations that the House Antitrust Subcommittee has flagged as monopolies or are deeply entangled in legislative debates. Debates Pelosi herself is intricately involved in. The situation grows more complicated with Google, not only a frequent subject of the Pelosi's lucrative trades, but also one of the top 5 donors to the Speaker. This intertwining of financial and political ties paints a troubling picture of potential conflicts of interest, where legislative influence could be swayed not just by policy considerations, but also by personal financial interests. The ethical quandaries extend beyond mere appearances. Pelosi's interactions with Cook, as reported, involved direct inquiries about what legislative adjustments were necessary to prevent adverse effects on Apple and other tech behemoths. Such reports suggest a two-way dialogue where the potential for policy influence is exchanged for insider knowledge, raising red flags about the integrity of democratic processes. This is not an isolated incident. In the past few years, multiple reports have surfaced suggesting that the Pelosi stock trades seem more than just fortuitously timed. For instance, a startling revelation by Bloomberg News and Fox Business highlighted that Paul Pelosi made significant bets on risky auctions in Google, Apple, and other tech stocks in early 2020. These moves came just before the market tumbled due to the COVID-19 pandemic and on the eve of new regulatory legislation concerning these very companies. Despite the market's initial downturn, Paul Pelosi's gamble paid off handsomely, holding onto these investments until they could be sold for a substantial profit, with his transactions in Google alone bringing in over $5 million. Such profitable outcomes occurring under circumstances that could suggest foreknowledge of legislative or market shifts cast a long shadow over Pelosi's legislative integrity. As these revelations unfold, they beg critical questions about the nature of democracy and governance. Can Pelosi's actions, intertwined with her personal financial gains, be reconciled with the ethical expectations of her office? Is it possible for a lawmaker to serve the public interest when their financial prosperity is caught in the balance? These are not just rhetorical inquiries, but are essential for maintaining the public's trust in their elected officials. The ethical quandaries surrounding the stock trades of Nancy Pelosi and her husband Paul are casting a shadow over Capitol Hill, raising substantial concerns about the integrity of our elected officials. While these trades themselves aren't declared illegal without proof of insider trading, a felony involving acting on non-public information, the moral implications are glaring. This isn't a standalone case. It echoes a disturbing pattern seen across both aisles, reminiscent of the preemptive stock sales by various senators in COVID-related industries before the pandemic's outbreak, sparking debate over whether they acted on advance, classified briefings. The appearance of impropriety is stark when examining Nancy Pelosi's financial transactions. Her wealth has surged by millions as she engaged in trades within the very sectors she oversees. This scenario is uncomfortably similar to prior unsettling incidents involving Paul Pelosi's timely investments, which seemed to anticipate major government contracts and policy shifts. For instance, he exercised $1.95 million in Microsoft call options shortly before the company landed a $22 billion US Army contract. Another notable move was his purchase of up to $1 million in Tesla calls ahead of significant government incentives aimed at boosting electric vehicles, announced by the Biden administration. These incidents paint a troubling picture of potential conflicts of interest, suggesting that Pelosi could have leveraged non-public information for substantial personal gain. In defense, Pelosi has denied any involvement or knowledge of her husband's trading activities. However, the undeniable link between her legislative influence and the sectors in which these trades occur leaves the public skeptical about the separation between her congressional role and her private financial dealings. Last year, the persistent issues resulted in legislative action when a bipartisan group of representatives. It is evident from the conversation that further strong actions could be required to rebuild political system confidence. The consistent timely investments made by congressional members in relation to important legislative activities highlight the critical requirement of openness and tougher rules to guarantee that individuals chosen to serve the public act without the taint of personal wealth. So that is all the time we had today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon on your way out. See you all next time.